Welcome to episode 10 of Unleash Your Inner Legend podcast. Today we have Nate Bailey, who is lead trainer and coach for ManWealth and Shield Maiden. He just released his book, 100 Mile Mindset, after running an astonishing 100 miles. Nate's mission in life is to impact men and women who are ready to truly have the life that they've always desired. I can't wait for you to listen in on his journey and the powerful advice he gives on relationships. This is Unleash Your Inner Legend, a podcast featuring modern-day legends sharing their life choices, habits, and routines that got them to where they are today. Get ready to be inspired and to take massive action to unleash your inner legend. Welcome to Unleash Your Inner Legend. Today we have a man who is changing the world. Nate Bailey is on a mission in life to impact men and women who are ready to truly have the life that they've always desired. Welcome, Nate.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hear about your journey and all the amazing things that you are doing. So before we get started, can you share with us your background and then how you got onto the path that you are on right now?
Yeah, you bet. So currently I'm a coach, I'm an author, I'm a speaker. I just released my third book, The 100 Mile Mindset. And but it's been a path that has been kind of an probably created over my life, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I was a teacher at first, physical education degree, and that just didn't really work out. I was an officer in the Army. I spent 15 months in Kuwait, deployed away from home, away from family. Multiple businesses, multiple successful businesses, a few that weren't so successful, CrossFit gym, insurance industry. I still am in the real estate investment business, have properties all over the country. And I think all of that has really given me the experience, the knowledge, the wisdom to do what I do today, which is to coach and impact men and women's lives across the country, across the world. I love to go out and speak and impact through, like my spoken message, as well as through my blog, through my podcast, through my books. And we run some really intense, immersive events. I work with a good friend and partner of mine, Satem Ali. I believe he was a guest on this. And together we have a few different programs called Shield Maiden and ManWealth, where entrepreneurial women and men come for 4.5 days with us. And we really, open their eyes to some of the things that they can't see so that they can go and live the life that they want. So that's kind of me and my story and my background a little bit.
That's awesome. So, it's a lot of people have that story of, like you said, you were in Kuwait, like 15 months in Kuwait, being, deployed somewhere, being somewhere else, and a lot of people just, take that as a lesson learned, and they take those informations and then they just keep living their life and pursuing their purpose personally. What motivated you to really okay, I'm learning valuable lessons here, and now I need to take it and share it with other people and motivate them and get them to live their life that they want to be? What motivated you to start doing all of this?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think about it a lot. It's, if I look back, right, you were on my podcast just the other week, and we talked about everybody has a story. And as I look back and look at my journey, my story, I've always gravitated towards leadership roles, right? High school, college athletics, captain of the team, leading others, to the military. And then I enlisted in the military, and then it's like, I want to be an officer. I want to be a leader. And so then I went through officer basic training, officer candidate school, and became a lieutenant and a platoon leader. And, I wanted to own my own businesses. I've coached at the high school and the college level, and I've always had this draw to lead and guide and impact others. So I don't know exactly where it comes from, but I've definitely seen it show in my life all throughout my life. And I remember as a very young kid, if you remember back in school, you'd have speakers that would come through every now and then. And when I was in school, they didn't tell us about it. They just kind of surprised us with it. And it was always an awesome day when they would call and say, hey, come to the assembly. And I remember very vividly all the different speakers that came. And I always remember thinking how cool that was and how awesome that would be to do that for a living. And I never really knew how to make that happen, but it really kind of is the reality that I live today. And it was just maybe a thought that I had based on some of the experiences I had as a very young kid growing up. And, like I said, some of those speakers, even though I don't know who they are today, they definitely impacted my world and have helped me to get where I am.
That's amazing. I really feel like you have that teacher mentality, that teacher mindset, to where you're always sharing, you're always giving back and teaching people, whether it be motivational or also educational. That's awesome to hear. So let's talk about like your entrepreneurial journey. Like, you have a lot going on. You have your book that you just released. You had just talked about the 100-mile mindset book. You have all these things going on. You have all these events, you have coaching. How do you keep your daily routines in sync, and what habits and rituals do you have that help you unleash your inner legend?
Yeah, I think it's my daily habits or routines that allow me to do all of those different things and to succeed in all. Like, it's really important for me. It's really important for what we do, especially in our programs, that we are wealthy in all areas of life, not just financially. And to do that, it's not easy. There's a conversation a little bit today around people saying that work-life balance is like, it's a fallacy. And I guess how I look at work-life balance is really winning or being wealthy in all areas. And to me, it's not a fallacy. It's just not easy. And a lot of people don't want to do what would be required to make that happen. And so it's very important for me. Like, I make sure that I work out, that I sweat every single day. And of course, if I'm running 100 miles, like, I have to do that anyways, right? To train and be prepared. I invest in the relationships that I want to grow, that what you water grows, and what you stop watering wilts and dies. And so that's the same for relationships, family members, my wife, my kids, most importantly, clients that pay us, other relationships that I want to continue to grow and invest in. I make sure that I do that every single day. When I have a thought, like, I act on it. And that's not how I always used to operate. A lot of us have thoughts to connect with somebody or send a message, and you don't do it. And then you continue to have that thought for months and months and months. And before you know it, finally they'll call or contact you. And you're like, oh, I've been thinking about doing this, but you don't do it, right? So I've gotten in the habit of investing in relationships every single day that are important to me. And not wait for them to do the same. I'm always studying. I'm always teaching. I have a podcast that you were on. I've actually just started yesterday a daily podcast that I'm going to start to put out, just to continue to grow. The more you use the tools you have, the sharper they get, right? And so if I watch a video of mine, or if I listen to me 4 years ago, I almost am embarrassed and shake my head, but it was a part of the journey that I'm on. And to see me today versus 4 years ago, it's awesome growth, and it's fun to see. And I can't wait to look back 4 years from today ahead, like, to where I am today, and see that grow. So yeah, just continuing to invest in myself and study to become a better coach, a better speaker, a better writer, a better author, a better person all the way around. And then, of course, as well as I'm making sure that I connect with God, that I meditate, to help me give the space that I need to reduce some stress in my life, and so that I can be really effective all day long.
That's so awesome you said that, like, just starting and then just keeping at it, because I'm with you. My very first podcast episode, me and my friend have a music podcast that we do. It's an entertainment based show, and we interview musicians. And the very first episode was, we were at Warped Tour, and we had my cell phone and like a janky microphone, because I didn't know janky microphone, so that we could look professional. There was like a lapel mic.
Yeah.
It was like $10.
Oh yeah.
Best equipment. And I had to find, the audio was so bad. Like, first off, like, the questions weren't on point. On top of that, the audio was terrible because we had this bad microphone. And then we had to scour like Fiverr and Upwork, try to find somebody to, make it sound the best that it could sound. But yeah, it's just funny to think like, the journeys that we all go through and then the experiences that we have, and we don't understand it. But like, I don't think a lot of people understand immediately, like, yeah, you're going to start something and you're going to suck and it's going to suck. You're going to be uncomfortable. I mean, I'm pretty sure like at the end of work tour, I was like, because while we're in Texas, it's like triple digit here.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah, I wasn't very fresh at the end of the night trying to interview these people. But you know what, that experience, now I can take it and implement it. And first off, like now I know to invest in some good equipment. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it just needs to be the right equipment. And then it's also knowing like, okay, don't schedule these interviews at nighttime at the end of a long day. Like, schedule them beforehand. So like, what would you say is like some good lessons learned that you as an author, let's just talk on that. Cause I know a lot of people have it on their bucket list to write a book, and myself included. What are some of the things that you can kind of give out as lessons learned if you were to go back and write back the 100 Mile Mindset book again? What lessons learned do you have that you can share with us?
Yeah, well, I literally just really finished that one up. And then I think back, it was 2016, the beginning of 2016 when I wrote the first one. And that was more of like I don't even know if I can call it a book, like a pamphlet. It was short. And
an ebook.
I just did it, and again, it's like I look back and you're kind of embarrassed, but at the same time, it's just like where I was at that time. And you should suck in the beginning, like just like what you're saying. And I think what stops most is because of that, right? They're like, oh, I'm not ready. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be good, whatever the story is. And they don't do it. And so I'm so glad that I did. And then about a year or so later, I did the second book, Live Your Legacy. And it was a big improvement. And now this one, 100 Mile Mindset, and really, really happy with it. And again, it's still not like a 400-page novel, but at the same time, the content is great, and it's me, and it's my story, and so yeah, I've always been of the like, let's just do it and go and not let any stories get in the way to stop me. Not let, like you said, technology get in the way because I don't have the right mic or whatever. It's funny you say that because I did a podcast again about 3 years ago, and it was with my phone. And if you listen to some of them, it was a daily one. I did 130 episodes, and then I quit. But they were like 6, 7, 8 minutes long. You could hear, like I was driving in the car, you could hear the sound and the wind, and the message wasn't super sharp or fine tuned at the time, but at the same time, I did it, and that's helped me, again, with my Championship Leadership podcast, as well as this new one that I have coming out soon. So
that's awesome. So how can listeners download or purchase your new book that you just released?
Yeah, they could just go to 100milemindset.com. I'm actually just giving away the free ebook. And then if they would like a hard copy, or I also did an audio book, and I just like, again, I use Zoom. I was like, I don't know how to do this. I'm just going to record an audio file and I'm going to put it out, because I know a lot of people like to listen, especially with Audible. I listen to a lot of books, and you get that question a lot. Well, I wish you had the audio version. Well, I do. And so,
well, you're just in luck. And, I know someone who wrote a book that way. She had on like the speak to text on her phone, driving to work or wherever, transporting wherever, and literally just talking into her phone. And then of course, if you definitely want to send it to somebody to edit and all that good stuff, but it's like, literally, like, you don't need to have all these fancy things and all this crazy equipment. You just got to take action and get started, and then remain consistent with it. If that's truly your goal. And if it's something you start doing, you might need to reevaluate your goals, maybe reevaluate your purpose. If it's something that you're not feeling, you definitely got to realign. So let's talk about, now, one thing I had picked up on is like, you really talked on investing in relationships. So all these people that you have aligned with, how did you, and I know like everybody has that one or two people in their life that's kind of like cancer. That's kind of draining their good vibes, taking them down, trying to bring them back down with them. How do you like identify those amazing like networking and relationship opportunities and nurture them versus like how do you acknowledge the cancerous or the people that maybe just aren't onto your standard of living? And then how do you deal with that?
Yes. So creating the relationships, number one, I think it just comes down to, and I think you do a great job of this, is just, again, if it's someone you want to have on your podcast, the natural thought is probably that they would never be on my podcast. Well, you don't know that unless you reach out. And what's the worst thing that could happen? They could ignore the message, or they could say no. And, you're still going to like survive that moment and you're going to be all right. Right. But some of them are going to say yes. And then it's, with Satema, when I first met him 4 years ago, he was doing well as a coach. He was just starting the programs that we have today. He was going off on his own, breaking off from another program that he was a large part of. And at that time, I was really just getting started. But I just told him, hey, I would love to work with you. Let me know if, we can make this happen. And he just came back and said, not right now. And I was like, all right, well, I know. And then probably 2 years later, like it happened. And here we are today. We're great friends, and we're working side by side, and we're building an incredible thing together, like really impacting people's lives. And we built this over a 7-figure business doing it. Yeah. And so it's been an incredible journey to see in such a short time, because that's really is a short time. It can feel long maybe sometimes when you're in it, and we always want to kind of get to the prize before we're ready. But yeah, so it's, and that was just me staying in touch with him staying in touch with me, again, kind of investing in each other. And then there's, especially in this coaching space, you'll have clients that are investing in themselves and they might be married and they're like, what happens if I start outgrowing my spouse? Or, it's a common question. Or what do I do with the family members that just don't get it and don't understand? And that's, for me, it's like when I'm around my parents, when I'm around my family, when I'm around my friends, anyone that doesn't, like I almost relive this double life, right? Because I go to California and I run these events and my clients see me in a very different way than like my parents, my family, or someone from back home that knew me as a kid. They remember you, who you were, like when they knew you. And I don't try to really explain too much into what I do. I don't hide it. If they ask, I'll try and explain, but it is really hard to kind of explain to somebody that has no perspective for that. And I just be me, like with my parents. I'm not trying to coach them. I'm just being with them, and because I love them and they're my family, and I want to be with them. And so I'm just Nate. And so that's, I think one way you can get around that is like, whatever you do in your professional life, it doesn't have to carry over into your personal life. And if you have friends that are just like, what are you doing? Or like, maybe they feel you pulling ahead of them. Maybe they do feel you outgrowing them. Like that's on them, and if they can't deal with it, then you might need to cut them out, right? You might need to just, and that's okay, right? Because we have different people come into our lives at different times or different seasons. And not everybody is meant to be in your life for the rest of your life. Like I have friendship. I have one that I live in this town of I literally live in a town of 3,000 people. And I have a really good friend from college. I was in his wedding. We live a mile or so away, and I've seen him twice in the 5 years that I've lived there. And, it's just, again, it's not because I don't want to hang out with him, but there's something that's getting in the way there. And it's just, it's just life. And it's just part of, and we're busy and we have kids. And so I don't take anything personal, I guess, if that answers your question.
Yeah, for sure. And the great thing too is aligning with these people and, when you had that opportunity or when you reached out to start something with Satema 4 years ago and he said, no, not right now. The great thing is you probably weren't ready for that and he probably wasn't ready for that. So it's good that you waited that a little bit of time, but it also didn't discourage you, obviously, because now you guys have this amazing business and all these different programs to help people. So I think that's awesome. It's definitely a lesson that people can take at your expense and not have to, wonder what ifs or, just keep cultivating this relationship. And to me, I always think of deposits. If you have someone that you're trying to network with or establish a business with, or even just become a friend, or maybe you're single and you're looking for like a spouse or whatever, like what deposits are you putting into that relationship? You can't just take. You can't just say, hey, will you come and do this? Or, hey, can I get this from you? Or, hey, it's like being aware too of like, what are the relationship deposits? How am I giving back to this person and maintaining this healthy relationship so that it's not just one-sided and I'm not just being a taker?
I think that's a huge part because, what we'll even tell our clients, like if you really have like let's say an ex that you just hate, right? We've had clients that they just have a horrible relationship with their ex. You hear that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, the relationship was sour. You loved each other at one point, obviously, and a lot of them have had kids together and now they can't stand each other. But like you do have these children together, you're going to be in their lives with each other for a very long time. And so we teach them how to invest in that relationship. And again, it comes back to with no expectations, right? You can't do this like, all right, I'm going to do this, but I want a response. Yeah, you want a response. You want to be able to build that relationship or nourish it. But at the same time, if you do it without any expectation of a response and you continue to show up and you can, like you said, make those deposits every day, if it really matters to you, eventually 90% of the time, like you're going to get the result that you want. It might never happen, but that's not the point to investing in a relationship. You're investing in it because it's the right thing to do, because you feel like it's the right thing to do, because you want to do it, not so that you can get a response. And you might not get a response depending on how you showed up in that relationship for a very long time. But, what are you committed to?
Yeah, and I think it's also like entitlement too. It's like you can't be entitled for other people. Like you can't rely on that relationship and have that entitlement. And I think one of the books that really helped shape that mindset for me was the 100-0 Principle by Al Ritter. And it talks about that. It's like 100% zero. Like I'm responsible for 100% of this relationship. You're responsible for zero of it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
definitely recommended read if you guys are looking to kind of get outside that. Because I know a lot of people struggle with that. I mean, it's not just even being a taker, but it's also a lot of people give too much too. And it becomes all like craziness of being, just in bad relationships and understanding all that. And that's a whole different conversation for sure. We're just talking about like the healthy relationships. So you asked a question, you said a question that you get asked a lot, and it was kind of really good because I know a lot of people who this kind of rings true to is, you had said, what happens when I outgrow my partner? So what response do you give to people whenever your coaching clients ask that?
Oh, well, especially in marriage, right? Number one, the vow that you make is that you're going to love that person unconditionally, right? So that's a big one. Like, you love this person for who they are, no matter what, right? Sickness or health, till death do us part. And so that's a big piece of it. Number two is what happens when you start to rise is typically you start to lift others up with you as well. And again, if you're investing in yourself to grow and expand, it should be for you. It really shouldn't be any other reason to it. Like if you're doing it to level others up around you, like I think you have the wrong motives. Like investing in coaches, mentors, whether it's in business or whatever, it's so that you can get the result that you want. And if it's for you to become a better person, as you do that, you can't help but impact others that are around you. And so that's what we'll see all the time is oftentimes that the others will rise. And if they don't, that's okay. Like really, I don't, my wife, I've never coached her. I've never tried to coach her. If she asks questions or sees me doing something, I'll be happy to, answer those or give her input or share with her. But at the same time, like I'm doing this for me. And I know that if I become better, that it affects me being a better husband, a better father, and a better person all the way around. And so that's kind of my answer is, yeah, number one, unconditionally, I love my wife no matter what. And at the same time, I know that by me improving, by me setting an example and being a leader in my home, that will also just raise the bar for everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. And you had said too, is like, asking yourself why you're coaching, and if you're doing that or getting better for the wrong reasons, if it's being ego driven or anything like that. Of course, I think a lot of times too, and I've seen it and I've experienced it myself, is like whenever you learn something, you really confuse like facts versus opinions. Like, and I think a lot of relationships, even friendships, partnerships, whatever the case may be, get strained because a lot of people are so headstrong, and they think that their opinions are facts, and they think that that's the way life should be, which that's your opinion. And I think that's helped me grow a lot too personally, is like thinking like, okay, yeah, that's okay. That's okay that they're like that, because that's how they want to be, or that's how they want to go through life. And like you said, becoming another person, or not another person, a better person. And it's almost like a domino effect too. Is like, and you become a better person in all these areas of life, whether it be a parent, spouse, friend, whatever it is. Of course, that relationship's going to turn good too, because of the way you're blossoming. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing all that. So
Yeah.
you have all these events going on, men and women. Can you kind of share a little about those events, and then how people can find out more details about them?
Yeah, you bet. So we have coming up actually the 10th, Monday, we have 13, we had 14 women, and one had a schedule conflict, so she's going to be in our September event, but we have 13 women coming from across the country to Southern California, and it's actually, I think I said 3.5 days. They'll get here on a Monday, and we'll work all the way through Thursday night, but really and each person's coming in for something a little bit different, right? Could be relationally, could be physically, financially, spiritually. There's something that is going on in their world that they're not okay with. And maybe they've lost their way, they've lost their power, they dim their light. They're not clear, like lack clarity in what it is that they want inside of their life. And we help to uncover a lot of that. And we do a lot of that through, we push them physically. Like we take them to the beach. It's kind of like Navy SEAL training light version, right? But it's intense. And there's a reason for it. Like there's a reason for everything that we do. It's to break through, to get rid of that facade that they're used to wearing, to help to them to rediscover their soul, or rediscover that power that they've lost, to get clarity on what it is that they want. We have a lot of principles and models that we teach along the way as well. And it's just an experience unlike anything else out there. I can say that with 100% certainty. No one else does what we do. And we are the best at it. We're really good at it. And our clients, they leave a different person in 3.5 days. We do a lot of work with them. These women come in, they've been in a group together, sharing and getting to know each other for 4 weeks. And it's incredible, the results that happen. Like they take off. Their relationships, their marriage, how they communicate, the clarity that they have. It's just incredible. So yeah, that's a little taste of what we do. And we do that. It's really pretty much the same for the men as it is the women. Like we do not take it easy on the women. Like that's a question that we get. Like they carry the same amount of weight in their sandbags that the men do. We do not go easy on anyone, because we know what's on the line. We know, their relationships, their husband or their wife, or their kids, their business, their employees, they're all counting on them coming back different. And so we don't take that lightly. And I just love what we do. And we have a ManWealth event. We got one coming up in August, and then Shield Maiden in September, and then another one in November. But yeah, it's an amazing experience for really any entrepreneur out there, no matter where you're at.
Yeah, I had saw the promo. One of my friends, it's funny because like I think everything comes full circle. And a girl who is like not in this network, like I know, like like Ryan Stewman, and then we have all these people kind of connected.
Yeah.
It's just out there. It's just random. She messaged me the video of the women's event that you guys have coming up in September.
Really?
She was like, how cool is it? It was just funny because I was like, wait a minute. I'm like double checking, like, this is crazy. Like, it's just, it's just cool that she had sent that to me. And it was just like, it was just crazy. But like, it's definitely intense, but I can definitely see how that works, how you guys build up, you break through, you build up. and then it's keeping the momentum going. So how can people go and register and find more information out for these events?
Yeah, you bet. So you can go to shieldmaidenlive.com. And there's a video that really kind of does a great job of showing what it is that we do and a little bit more about the experience, and they can apply. And through that, we'll reach out to them. Same thing, it's just ManWealth.com. And same thing, there's a video to watch and they can apply, and our sales guy will reach out. And yeah, if there's something that you're looking for, like maybe life is good, but that's just not good enough, right? You want to be great, or, you're struggling in a marriage or whatever it is, just want to take that next level. Check it out for sure.
That's awesome. And I'll make sure to put those links in the show notes so that people listening can go there and click and get direct access to that. Definitely check it out. Like I said, I was super impressed, but it was just funny because I was like, what? Like, wait a minute, what? I'm interviewing him on the podcast. So it was just cool to see that come full circle. All right, yeah. Nate, thank you so much for sitting down with us and sharing all your knowledge and your journey. Before we let you get back to doing all of that, what are some last words you have for listeners?
Whatever it is that you want in your life, like if for a long time you've just been hoping, wishing, and dreaming for something different, but you don't know what it is, like you just don't know what you don't know, spend some time to really get clear on what it is that you want. Most people today have no idea what they really want. If you ask that question, they're like stumped. And so get clear. There's so much power in clarity. And so get clear on what you want, and not just what, but why. Like, why does that matter? Because the why is so important. We call it the holy cause, this deep-rooted, deep-seated reason that's going to drive you to do what's required. Because once you're clear on what you want, then you got to go and do what's required to get that. And there's going to be a lot of days when you don't want to. There's going to be a lot of days when you don't feel like it, when you're not in the mood. And committed people, they do what's required no matter what, every single day. And so be super intentional about your life. If you really want a different life, you're going to be intentional, detailed, specific, clear, and then you're going to go and do what's required no matter what.
That's amazing. Those are some very powerful last words. And you guys, make sure to check out Nate's podcast, his events, his book, and definitely just follow him on his journey. All the links are in the show notes. Make sure to check it out. Thank you so much, Nate. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Holly. I appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Unleash Your Inner Legend. For more inspiration, make sure to subscribe by going to unleashyourinnerlegend.com. We'll see you guys next week.